Hey folks, it's Amy McDonald here. Welcome to another episode of the podcast or YouTube or however you're finding us. It's great to have you here. We're having some great conversations all week long, essentially looking at, well, shiz, the world got weird and we're at home more, and maybe you're homeschooling and working another job and doing a lot of things. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're starting to think about things slightly differently and looking at your priorities, and that includes how you might be considering how you operate your business, the goals you have for your business, how you conduct yourself in business, and maybe thinking things could be better, which is where I would like to introduce our guest of the moment. Joanna, welcome to this special series of conversations all about just taking another look and maybe refining what it is that we're doing in business. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Where I don't actually know where you are on the planet specifically.
I'm in Northern California, about an hour north of San Francisco in Sonoma County, which a lot of people know it's wine country.
Yeah, I know it. I fell in love with someone up there.
Oh. It's
a long time
nice
ago.
place to fall in love. It's beautiful up here, yeah.
Well, welcome. Let's start by tell everybody who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so I am a business coach and I work with health and wellness practitioners and coaches, and I help them properly price and package and sell their services to get long-term clients and steady, predictable income.
And for right now, so that if people are listening, they can also be stalking. Where can we find you on the internet?
My website would be the best place. That's joannasapir.com. It's Joanna, and my last name is S like Sam, A-P like Paul, I-R.
It's a good name. And the same on Instagram, Joanna Sapir on Instagram?
Yep.
Okay, everybody, while we're going on to keep on talking, go get your phone and go to Instagram and open Joanna's Instagram. Follow her and then look for all of those pictures of her doing like crazy weightlifting. Can we talk quickly about that? What?
Sure. What would you like to know?
Well, like, I mean, what do I want to know? Is that so you said to me before that you had a bricks and mortar fitness business. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that was my kind of entry into business. And I had actually been a high school history teacher for 10 years. And I almost started the fitness business almost by accident. It's actually, I can't say by accident. I mean, I made the decision, but probably like most people listening, I started it because I sort of fell in love with this fitness stuff. I fell in love with this thing that changed my life.
Yeah.
And I want to share this with everyone else. I want other people to experience this, right? So I started this business.
I've never heard a yoga teacher say that, ever.
Exactly, right? With zero experience in business. I'm like a public school teacher, and so that's really how I earned my business chops. And there were some definite lows. A story I talk about is that within my first year, I ended up in the emergency room. And I had broken out in like some crazy rash on my body, and I had a fever and I didn't know what was going on. And I get to the hospital and they start running all these tests and they can't figure it out. And it's like 2 hours in, it just hit me. I went, oh, this is stress. This is just from stress. This is just my body going like, you can't do this. And so that was my big wake up call in that, oh, I need to learn how to run a business.
Wow.
So that's how I started. That's how that business began. And that's when I decided, okay, really want to do this. I really want to make this a successful business. And I actually fell in love with the business side of things.
Wow.
And so kept going on that path. Yeah.
I think in off topic, but just business coach to business coach, it seems to me that there are so many people in the industry who call themselves business coaches who haven't actually had a business until they became a business coach. And it's so nice to talk to somebody who's got significant experience working in the type of business that you're then supporting people with, and the things that you would have overcome and had to handle would be very, very similar to what a lot of studio owners would be working through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. So, and then the weightlifting is
The weightlifting, it's really interesting. I mean, I didn't discover, this is Olympic style weightlifting. So a lot of times people get it mixed up with powerlifting, which is a different thing. And some people say bodybuilding. It's not bodybuilding. That's the thing where they judge you on the way you look. So Olympic style weightlifting is in the Olympics. You've seen it. It's with the barbell. There's just two lifts. And so I came upon this sport at quite an older age, at 34 years old. I'm 45 now. And so I was already considered a master's athlete at that point. And, you know, I was training with a coach who did this, and I was getting ready to be I wanted to teach these movements in my gym. So I was training under a really top level coach who's still my coach today, all these years later, more than a decade later. And I just remember there was this sign on the wall one day that said the Bad Girl Open. And it was a competition called the Bad Girl Open. And I was like, what's that? I want to do that. What's that? And so my coach was like, well, sure. Okay. I mean, I had so little experience in the sport, and I went and I placed. I think I got second place or something.
Wow.
And then I was just hooked after that. So continued competing for many, many years. I haven't competed in 3 years now. I'm not sure I will, but I competed for a long time.
Wow.
Won the Masters National Championship at
one
point.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does it do to your knees? That's such a yoga teacher question. What does it do to your knees?
I mean, I think it's part of what keeps me young and strong, you know?
Yes, no doubt.
I feel very capable, and I can't imagine ever not doing it. I don't need to compete anymore. I don't feel that need, but in this shelter in place time, a couple weeks in, I don't have a home gym or anything. And a couple weeks in, I was like, I'm craving a barbell, and I just had to go borrow one from someone. And so, yeah, it's part of my life at this point.
I love it. Okay, thank you for going on a little tangential journey with me. Oh, that was fun. All right, so you said at the top that you support wellness practitioners, folks like us, with pricing and packaging, and I know that both of those are issues that a lot of yoga teachers face, particularly freelancers, so people who work for themselves, rent their own space, own their own gear, might teach at different locations. All sorts of stuff comes up with like self-worth and stuff about not only what are my rates and how much should I charge, but also the fear of sort of asking for more than one sale at a time, putting things together. I used to have a client who was a yoga therapist, and we talked a little bit about packaging, and she was so hesitant about pushing services onto somebody. If you sell more than one thing at a time, how can you know that you'll need that much? So there's a lot of I'm on board with this too, but I'm really excited about this conversation because I think there's a fair bit of baggage in our industry about what pricing and packaging, how it can help business and how it's also good for the customer. So tell us more.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a total win-win. I mean, it serves your clients so much better than a session by session or even pack of sessions model. So since I had the gym, I remember learning this very specifically with one client. It was the hard way. There was this guy, and his name was Greg. And, before I understood how to do this right, he wanted personal training. And what we sold was these packs of sessions, so he bought a pack of 10 sessions. And after the 10 sessions were done, he left. He didn't come back. And I just remember feeling like he was probably the first person, it was very early in the business to do that, right? And I was like, what went wrong? And he said, I wasn't seeing results. And I just went, oh my goodness. I didn't do anything to get him results. I just had him show up at these sessions. That's all it was about, was just come to your personal training session. I hadn't designed a program based on his goals and where he wanted to go. And when I stepped back and went, okay, who was he? What were his goals? What did he want to do? What did he want to achieve? What I would have given him would have been so much more than 10 sessions, right?
Yes.
Would have been, I would have said, you should come in 2 times a week and train for, let's look at 6 months. And I would have been talking about a nutrition plan and tracking his sleep, right? And been having much deeper conversations and providing even supplementary services to just coming in and training, but also making sure that he was training on a particular schedule rather than, leaving it to him to schedule and decide. And so that was just the big kind of light bulb moment. And from that point on, I really started designing these programs for people based on their goals and what they wanted to achieve and what it would take to get them there. Now, on the reverse side, as a client, here I was, a competitive weightlifter, really working my body, right? Hard and training for multiple competitions a year. And so I had my own, like body workers in particular. I saw various body workers, right, to keep me healthy.
Yep.
So, I had a shoulder thing, which everybody's got, any like competitive athletes got something. I had a shoulder thing, but then also it was just simply keeping me healthy, keeping me mobile, keeping my tissue healthy. Yeah. And so I found incredible practitioners, incredible body workers that I would work with. But it was the same thing I got as a client that I had seen the failings of, which was I'd show up for a session and that would be it, and they might be like, so when do you want to come in next? And maybe they'd schedule another session, but I never was very clear, like, what's our plan here? I've got this competition coming up in 3 months. Like, is there a plan? Like, so should I be coming in once a week? And what are we doing? What are you doing? Right? What is this about? And so I saw that from both sides. So fast forward to now, this is a key component of what I work with my own clients on. And it's really been life-changing for them because you are enrolling. Of course, you need to know how to enroll clients in this service, but you're enrolling people in a journey to get to their goals. And it's definitely a bigger commitment for them. And yet for the right people, it's so exciting. Yeah. It is a full commitment on their part. Like, you are in it with them, you are in it together, and you're the guide taking them on this journey to meet those goals.
I love it. And yoga is an unregulated industry. There's no upper limit on how much you can charge, except that you need to feel good about it. But what you're talking about here is building in more value.
Yes.
And definitely people being aware that there is greater value in a packaged service rather than here's your 3-class pass, stamp, whatever, right. See you next time. So you can charge a higher price point for it. But the thing that comes up for me in hearing you speak about what you would have done differently for Greg is how working with people in the way you're describing is actually much more professionally rewarding, going on that journey with somebody. As the business owner, as the coach or the yoga therapist or the body worker, much more rewarding. I know with my clients, I love having a session here and there with somebody, but wow, going on a journey with somebody, just I love
That's exactly right. Yeah. And so what I do is I tell people, anybody who's been teaching yoga or in a wellness practice for any period of time, we've all had crappy clients right? Everybody's had those. And then we've all had these clients who have like kind of stayed around, like, right. The dream clients. Yeah. And that you want to design all of your programs and plans around those dream clients.
Yes.
And so you mentioned at the top of the interview, you said there are freelancers. And so I actually call it the freelance mindset, that we need to move out of the freelance mindset and into the business owner and guide and mentor mindset.
Ooh, interesting.
And the freelance mindset is kind of like, well, I just sell these sessions and whoever shows up is who buys my services. And of course, I'm here to serve everybody there is to serve. Why would I ever turn anyone away? Versus moving into this mode is more like, who am I really here to guide on this journey? Mm-hmm. Who are these people? What are their pains and problems and goals and desires? Mm-hmm. And forming your whole business around them.
Mm-hmm. And it may be, I'm thinking of, the people who are watching, it might be a tiered approach. Maybe you have weekly classes and it's an hour and it's $20, and actually anybody, all the annoying people, the guy who's kind of creepy, the woman who just won't leave, they can all come to those. But if you're talking about like, I'm going to be your yoga mentor or your, you know, your whatever you want to call it, embodiment guide, whatever, then you get to be more specific and selective on who those people are that you want to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. You could definitely have different tiers of service for sure. There's a lot of different ways to organize it when it comes to just practically speaking. Yeah.
So how does thinking about service delivery in this way create more certainty or more sort of financial stability?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I know that most practitioners and coaches, unless they've been trained this way, don't use the word sales usually. But when I use this word sale, I'm talking about, each time you get a client.
Yep.
So if you're selling session by session, a sale is just a
Another
session.
$10,
So,
another 15
yeah, exactly.
pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're selling programs and plans like this, a program or plan might be $3,000, let's say. Maybe it's 1,500, 3,000. It could even be higher, really depends on how it's designed. And so your sale, the value of your sale goes up that much higher, right? So if you're selling a $1,500 package, you've made a $1,500 sale versus the $10 class or whatever. So of course, there's just much more kind of predictable money there. But this is where right now with this pandemic, any of my clients who have worked with me and already implemented this whole system, they have continued to get income and serve their clients, even the ones that are brick and mortar, because their clients are on these long-term commitment plans and they've simply shifted how they're delivering services. So a lot of times, like I'm thinking of a fitness studio owner who emailed me the other day. She's actually done working with me, had finished working with me, but emailed me the other day and she said, "Oh my God, everything you did with me prepared me for this. It's amazing." Yeah. And so she's working with her clients online, but they're all on monthly memberships is what they're on. And so they just continue to pay. So there's no change in income there. And it's even the same for like body worker clients of mine. It's the same way. They're just serving them in different ways.
I love that.
So yes, it's predictable income. And so when you get somebody, for example, on a plan or program that is, there could be a pay in full option or a monthly option is how many people will do it. And so that monthly option is automatically billed. You're not invoicing them. You're not, right? It's just automatically put into the system. And so that's when you can actually look out in front of you and say, this is how much money is coming in next month and the month after that and the month after that, right? So if there's any kind of shortfall, you see how much money to make in new sales or new clients.
Yeah. One of the things I've been talking about with some of my clients recently is we've been looking at Facebook advertising and how you can look at the return on your Facebook advertising investment over time. And one of the great things about this sort of monthly membership is you can also start to budget in, well, what is my new client attraction rate and how much money do I need to have budgeted for to be calling in new people, because this is the average number of months people will stay a member. Or so it gives you not only certainty on the bottom line, but also looking at your expenses as well and your client attraction budget.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cost of acquisition. And when your average sale is so much higher than even, spending $500 a month on Facebook ads or something, if your average sale is $1,500, it makes it pretty easy to do it for one client,
Yeah. Yeah. This is so interesting. Okay, so let me, on behalf of people who are listening or watching this thinking, yeah, that's never going to work for us. We're not gyms, or, that's not yogic, or that's not spiritual, all that sort of stuff. Like, let me ask you some devil's advocate-y kind of, but what about questions.
All right. So
what about people who might be feeling that you're locking someone into a service that they may no longer need? What if I injure myself, or what if I don't like it that much, or I want to try something else?
Yeah, this is definitely, so let me try it. This is definitely moving away from that. Like in my opinion, it's like anybody can go try a yoga class anywhere. This is really about who are you and what are your goals and why are you looking for yoga, right? Why is this of interest to you? What are you after?
Yeah.
And so the enrollment, okay, so that's number one to say. Number two is, I teach my clients anyway, the enrollment process is super important and really, really powerful.
Okay, so some people listening thinking, what the F is an
What
enrollment
is that?
process?
Yeah, so that is whatever your sales process is, and I teach it in the form of a consultation.
Sure.
And because I work with so many practitioners, many times that consultation is actually a very in-depth assessment.
Yes. Yep.
So, for example, I have really quite a number of body workers that work with me. So people come to them in pain and with injury. So in order to properly assess what they need and how long that's going to be, they're doing a full assessment to see what's going on, and that's where they make that assessment from. Does that make sense?
It does.
So
It totally does.
it's not arbitrary to say sign up for 6 months or sign up for 3 months.
Yes.
It's based on doing a consultation and an assessment with somebody and really know it. You have to know your clients, and you have to look at the longer you've been a yoga teacher. I'm sure you've seen how quickly some people respond, how slowly others do. What are the signs, right? You have to be good at your craft for sure for this wouldn't be for beginners. I would say somebody just starting to be a teacher or practitioner or coach. They need to first get their hands on or their brains on a number of people. Like you need to have served people for a while and be really quite good at what you do and rely on that experience at it. So to me, the programs are designed based on client needs. They're not about you and they're not arbitrary, and they're not about the business. The programs are based on client needs. The pricing does need to be based on providing a profitable business for sure.
Yeah.
But that enrollment process, just want to say, that's a really key piece of this. So this is not something that would go on a website or a sales page and you wouldn't expect people to buy off that. And not only that, you wouldn't want to ever enroll somebody if they weren't the right fit for you. So you have to be really clear on who you serve, and you want to use the consultation process to really make sure this is somebody you absolutely can help.
I love this. It just, that feels just has so much integrity. Like you're really customizing what you as the skilled practitioner believes would be in the highest service to the customer, to the student, so people who do Ayurvedic consultations, or people who do sort of spiritual guidance. I mean, there's all sorts of yoga teachers who do other things as well as yoga therapy or whatever it may be.
This is really a perfect way to bring all of that together. A lot of people I work with have all these different components and they get confused about it. And so, when they come to me on their website, they might have like 6 different service offerings. This is a way to integrate it for anybody who really wants to take a truly holistic approach and work with individuals, right, in using all these different modalities that they have.
I really like it. And it gets to be such a nourishing relationship for both parties. Like you said, it's coming back to this idea of we're going on a journey together.
Totally. And yep, it is all about alignment. And I'm glad you know that and can feel it, because that is when you fall in love with your business, because you are truly living like the purpose that you even started it with. Like you're really hitting it right there,
So how do people find out about this? You don't have it as a generic sales page. How do you let people know that this is a way that they can work with you? Because you don't want to, it's not like you don't want to tell everybody, hey, I'm having a house party if 3 people you don't want to show up. Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah. So, you design up a sales pipeline. So I know you're great at marketing. So of course you want to have the right language. I teach my clients about really understanding the pains and problems and goals and desires of their ideal clients in their words. And so, those are the kind of promises you're calling out to those pains, problems, goals, and desires. But as far as like what's on a website or what the offer is on a social media post, it's always schedule a consultation with me to talk about, and calling out to solve your pain or to solve your problem or to get to your goal or get to your desire, whatever the different language, the different marketing language you would use. But that's the call to action, is schedule a consultation.
Any little tips? This is just such great stuff. What about people who the idea of even talking about money terrifies them, let alone getting someone maybe even in the room with them or on the phone and then saying, $1,500. Like, what, for people who struggle to even just tell somebody, actually, you still owe me $5 from last week. This could be, terrifying, the idea of that sort of sticker shock of someone thinking that you're going to say, oh, it'll be $150 and there's an extra zero on it. This might be quite foreign for people. Well, hang on, I'm used to lots and lots of little bits of money. Asking for one large sum might be terrifying.
Yeah. Well, there's two parts to that question. I mean, first, let me just throw out that, yes, it's a large sum to begin with, but can be paid monthly. But two pieces to that question. You sure don't want your prospective client to come into a consultation having no idea of any piece of what you're offering. So we put filters in place, qualification filters. So if we're talking about a brick and mortar, like a studio, or anybody who meets their people in person, which is not quite happening right now, but usually, I have kind of two different paths that I teach my clients on. One is a phone pre-qualification. And so that's for the type of business where people are calling you, right? Where you have an office phone, or maybe it's your own phone, but people are calling you to schedule something. And so the phone pre-qualification is a really simple, you do it the same every time. You kind of write your own little script for it, but it's where you qualify people. It's where you actually decide ahead of time what's really a yes client, what's really a no client. And are there any are there any very clear black and white questions I can ask that filter somebody out kind of right off the bat?
Yes.
So for example, when I owned the gym, like location was one of them, right? That's a very simple one. Do you know where we're located, and can you get here 3 times a week?
Yeah.
And so that's just so that doesn't become, that's not an issue. There, you can put in there absolutely budget questions. So you can say our programs range from 3 months to 12 months at a time, or you could say something like a minimum of 3 months. We start every client with a minimum of 3 months, and the cost of services ranges from this to this. Is that in your budget? So that's just a simple pre-qualifying question for like a brick and mortar type business.
I like that. So people know, and there's not that awkward, embarrassing, or even shameful moment where someone goes, oh God, I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you don't want to spend your time either. Like you want them to know right up front what you're about. So that has to be crafted really well, because it's not the pre-qualification phone call is not a sales call, right? You are not asking anybody to make any kind of decision. This is just the person who's calling you up and going, I wanted to find out about, about your studio. And so it's just kind of a basic informational thing. And for anybody who has a, front desk reception kind of person, they would be the one who does that. For online businesses, an online application is really the way to go. And it can have the same type of things in it.
I like that.
Yeah. So that's part one. And then part two is so they've been pre-qualified already. They have some sense of the price, or the range at least. And then in the consultation itself, I have my clients practice saying the numbers. I don't know if you do that. But,
I like that.
And then I push them up and up and up until way above what they're actually going to charge, just to $50,000.
It's $1.5 million every 3.
But I mean, to legitimately say it, So, it all changes once someone makes their first sale with that, and then has the experience of working. It's getting the yes and getting the first sale, and then working with the client and seeing how powerful it is to work in that kind of relationship with somebody.
Yeah, I agree. I always say to people, I had someone email me the other day saying, what gives you the right to charge so much money? I can't even get $65 an hour, and why are you so special? It's triggering for people who are still on the journey. And I say this, it sounds so trite when I say it, but I think once you're on the other side of having done it, you know it to be true that when people invest financially at a higher financial level, they invest energetically more fully, like they are more committed to themselves. They're investing in themselves at that price point. If I've bought someone's 3-month yoga therapy mentorship, I'm doing the stuff that you told me to do at home. I'm thinking about my diet. I'm going to bed at the times that we talked about, et cetera, because I've got more skin in the game. I'm more invested in my own results.
100%. 100%. I mean, that is what it is. That's really what it's about, is that investment in themselves. It is, I mean, I don't think of it as them paying you, the practitioner. I think of it as them investing in going on this journey,
Yeah. I'm guessing that you have to have some pretty good boundaries, like terms, conditions, all of that. Like, you need to have all of that squared away so that you feel like there's a shared understanding of the mechanics of the agreement.
Absolutely. So sure, I mean, I advocate for a formal client agreement, but that's something all discussed in that enrollment process. You want somebody, when they say they want to do it, you want to make sure they're 100% in and they know what all the guidelines and boundaries are. However, what I find is that when you move solely to this model, your clients are so invested in their progress, that, and when you're priced right and you're really doing this right and your business is rolling strong because of it, that it does become easy. I don't want to say to break boundaries, but it doesn't feel like crossing boundaries. You feel more generous in giving if somebody needs a little extra of something, because it's just,
it's true.
You're both so in together, and you are being compensated totally fairly, and it's already all been paid. It has nothing to do with paying more to get some extra service, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so it becomes much it just becomes much easier to give. There's zero, resentment or feeling like you're like nobody's demanding anything of it. You giving out of your heart.
I love that. I hadn't thought about it like that, but that's totally what happens for me with my clients. Like, what, you're in drama? Quick, let's get on the phone.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, that goes also to really making sure you're enrolling the right people, and building that business around those people.
Which was going to be my final, I promise, question. Is it okay to say no to somebody who really wants to work with you, but the alarm bells are going off and it just doesn't feel like the right fit? Can you turn people away?
Yeah, absolutely. I just did the other day. Yeah.
This is for all the codependent yogis out there, Joanna. But it is okay.
Absolutely. And so hopefully through kind of your filters, you'll, through a pre-qualification process, you'll get a heads up. And you can even kind of not even have a consultation with somebody who has red flags, clear red flags, but you might get into a consultation where some red flags show up. And so what I say in my consultations when I begin them, so mine are online here, but I say, well, here's how the consultation goes. I'm going to ask you several questions about your business and And then I say, and if what you need is a good fit for what I provide and you're a good match for me, I'll let you know that. And if you're not, I'll let you know that too. And if I have somebody else I can refer you to, I'd be happy to do that. How's that sound? And so then I'm not saying you're not a good fit, I don't want to work with you. I've already said, I might say that this isn't an exact match with my services. So then I'm just saying, so here's what I see, and this, it's not actually a match with my services, but here's who I think would be,
Yeah. Someone that I don't like because you're a weirdo and I'm looking to get revenge. No, not really. All right. So you mentioned before we got going that you might have a resource that people can go get. If they wanted to go find it now, where would we tell us I'm guessing that we can noodle around on your website and find it, but tell us about it. What is it and why should we get it?
Yeah, so I have a webinar that I did live, but the recording is there available, and it's called 5 Shifts to Get Long-Term Clients and Steady, Predictable Income. And it's actually quite a bit of information that I didn't necessarily talk about today too. So it's got all kinds of extra goodies, and you can find that on the home page of my website, joannasapir.com.
So good. Really good. I really like how I talk to so many yoga teachers who are just feeling like they want to serve in deeper ways. They've done the running all over town thing. They've done the teaching 20 classes a week. They're looking for depth. What you're talking about lends itself so well to that sort of service. Really nice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks for being an awesome guest. That was great.
Thank you for having me. Fun talking to you.
Thanks for wearing my brand colors and having your wall painted in my brand color. You've really gone to great lengths. I appreciate that a lot.
I told you I had no idea this was going to be on video.
I wish I looked that good for not having any idea about this being on video. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.